Welcome to Mondays with Meg this morning, everyone. I have a very special guest with us today. My dear friend, Rosemary Radford from Garden Key Co.
Hi,
She and I have
everybody.
been, yes, Rosie, and I call her Rosie, so you're going to hear me call
Yeah.
her Rosie. She and I have been friends now for like 10 years, I think, around there.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty amazing. And what can I tell you about Rosie? So she is like a wizard with hand lettering, you guys. She has this incredible business called Garden Key Co, where she goes and she does these amazing live workshops, hand lettering, watercolor, all sorts of beautiful lettering workshops into Nashville and surrounding areas. And she also makes, sells her own products, t-shirts, different things. And she happens to be the talent behind all of my Your Coach Meg branding, website, all those things. So any of you that have ever told me that you love my branding, anything like that, Rosie is the one behind all of this. So Rosemary, thank you for taking time with us this morning.
Absolutely. I'm so honored to be here with you, Meg.
Awesome. Well, this morning we are going to be talking about choosing joy. And like every single week, if you have a question that you would like us to talk about when it comes to choosing joy, just go ahead and put it in the comments. We definitely want to hear what you have to say about that. And we want to know what you might want to talk about. Otherwise, we have some things we want to talk about.
Absolutely.
About choosing joy. Yes, for sure. So, one thing that I know is that we are faced with thousands of choices every single day in our life. And so why isn't joy just one of those choices? You know what I mean? Like we can actually choose that. We can choose joy. So, Rosie, I just want to go ahead and start. What does joy even mean to you?
Well, I think a lot of people get joy and happiness confused.
Yeah.
I think joy is a long-term feeling and happiness might be a short-term feeling that leads to joy. But to me, joy is a feeling that that hopefully resonates deep within you. And it's a feeling that can't be brought forth by your circumstances or by the people around. It's something that you can only give yourself.
Gotcha. So it's definitely it's definitely something that no matter really what's going on, no matter what kind of people are around, it's the kind of happiness that you have no matter what.
Exactly.
It's kind of what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like you are the only person that can give yourself joy.
For sure. Yeah. But it's so easy to try to look for that. In the outside.
I mean,
oh my goodness.
It's almost like everyone feels trained to do that. Like they're on this hunt for joy.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And it's not in a thing and it's not in a person. So it's like, we're all looking at it in the wrong way. But
sure. And that just really sets us up for just to be so disappointed and fail in this area constantly. So I feel like that's why we have to be so intentional about choosing it, because everything in our society is pointing the other direction. So my question I have for you, Rosie, is what situation specifically for you, if you don't mind getting personal?
No, let's do it.
Yeah, good. Perfect. I love that about you. So specifically for you in your life, what are some situations or circumstances recently where you have made this intentional choice to choose joy?
Yeah. Well, there's been a couple over the past couple of years. I would say the first and probably the hardest one in trying to find joy in the circumstance was when I lost my father a couple of years ago. Obviously, when you lose someone, you're grieving and you're just trying to process this whole thing. So I think it was definitely a challenge to just dive in and see what are the things in my life that really deeply affect me in a positive light and bring me happiness? And what can I do to make myself feel that way? And choose joy. That's the important part. And most recently, if I'm completely transparent, I left my job in a corporate office about a year and a half ago. And little did I know, as excited as I was to start this hand lettering business, I did not realize how lonely I would be not being surrounded by 30, 40 people a day, just always constantly in communication with me. So I get into my office every day and I'm extremely, I guess lonely, and I'm by myself and, working and excited about what I'm doing, but obviously having to just realize that this opportunity to choose joy is up to me. And what am I going to do to do that every single day?
I can so relate
Yeah.
to that. Being someone who mostly works with people virtually, it was a big struggle for me too. When I went from being in retail management, where people
all
everywhere, all the time, all day long, and I'm an extrovert, so I get energy from people, and having to then, for me, like what you're talking about, having to be intentional to get what I need, which is people interaction, to fill me up, to have the joy, to be able to give out and pour out to all of my clients all day long. Girl, I so get it. So get it. And, I think it's also important to point out, especially with what you were talking about with your dad passing, grief is important. It's important to go through that process. I don't want people to misunderstand maybe and think like, no, so never be sad. Never be upset. Just choose joy all the time. And I don't think that's appropriate, either. Yeah.
It's not real life. Let's face it.
Right. For sure. Yes. Yeah. So I loved hearing from what you said about how you realized you needed to go through that process and be sad and grieve and all of that. But there does come a time where you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That grief becomes comfortable. That sadness becomes comfortable, and make that intentional choice that I know Dad would want you to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
and
sure.
Then segueing off of that, I think this is the perfect opportunity to say joy isn't a constant thing. And there are definitely days where, usually I'm, chipper and sunny, but there are days where life just gets me down, and you have those days, and that's just what's happening, and just accepting that. But I think it's almost like getting back on the track of a diet or anything like that. Like, you have to choose joy as soon as you can again.
Right. Absolutely. And, when you're able to do that, when you make that the priority, that really can be a game changer in every area of your life. I think it's possible to compartmentalize your joy to I struggle with joy at work, so I'm going to intentionally focus on having joy at work. I think that's a possibility. But I think if you have that at your core, if you are focused on making it necessary to choose joy at your core, that's when it just organically seeps in to all these areas, and it becomes just your new normal, I think, in a lot of ways. For sure.
I agree.
That's such a good point. Thank you for that. So what does that look like for you, Rosie, on the hard days to pick joy? What does that look like for you, real life?
It's, again, being completely transparent. It's realizing that this is a hard day, or this is a hard action that I'm doing, and saying, I can have this moment, allowing myself to not feel guilty for being down or frustrated or sad or whatever that sad feeling is, or emotion is, but recognizing that and then saying, okay, this is within just this moment. And it's not going to filter into the next day unless it has to, right? Like you said, losing someone is traumatic. It's sad and it's hard. And that's not a day-long thing. That's a month, a year, years, a decade, whatever it takes. But it's going, okay, Rosie, get out of this and choose joy. You have this opportunity to do it. And it's hard. And sometimes it's an uphill battle.
Absolutely.
But I know that feeling joyful is going to be a lot more fun and get me a lot further than crying in the valley for a long time.
Absolutely, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And I know for me, it's making sure that when I am struggling to get out of that rut of not choosing joy, it's making myself do things that fill me up, like literally making myself go, literally making myself shut off everything, all the distractions. Because one thing I know for me that doesn't help is comparison, right?
Oh.
What is comparison? What is it? It's the thief of joy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could not express that enough. That is like my quote of the year.
Right, for sure. And so, so what is that like for you? The comparison. Talk about that a little bit.
Like, I feel like I'm always talking about this quote because it is so vital in today's world. I mean, we're constantly surrounded by friends who are, let's face it, they're talking about the new car they just bought or the house they just bought or the whatever, the raise they just got. But more importantly, it's every single moment we wake up, every single day, and every single night before we go to bed. Where are we? We're on Facebook. And Facebook is the like pit of comparison. And I catch myself doing it all the time. You know, I'm in my 30s and I'm single, no children. Of course, that's what I want, but I don't have. And so when I'm seeing all my friends with their new babies or taking them to school, here I go, whoo, you know. And so it's realizing that comparison can take what joy you do have away from you. And so I think it's taking a step back when you start feeling that way and realizing that you don't need to compare your life to anyone else's. Like, you have an incredible life and they're probably looking at you going, look at Rosemary. She's doing her thing, you know?
I mean, because you are pretty amazing, but anyway. But I think, you know, it's so true. And we have to remember that we're only seeing a piece of other people's lives. We're seeing the piece that they want to show us. But yes, they typically, I mean, now granted, it's great. Some people do share their struggles and all these things. You know, I try to be as open as I can possibly be about those things. But for the most part, people are really just sharing what they want you to see. Yeah. And so I just, you know, it's okay to shut that stuff off, guys. If Instagram is bumming you out, take the app off your phone, shut it off, give yourself
You're not missing out.
You're really, life will happen and it'll be great and you'll still get my emails, so it's fine. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, it's okay. That's self-care for sure. But that is a way that you can choose joy. You know, if there's certain people in your life that are a little toxic and maybe your friend group has gone a little negative or something, like, it's okay to take a step back and to give yourself what you need. So then maybe you can even come back to that at some point. I don't know. Or maybe it's time to move on. But really understanding what boundaries you need to put in place for you to make sure that it's more likely for you to intentionally choose joy every single day. So important. I'm really glad we brought that up. Gosh, that's such a big thing right now.
Well, and real quickly, Meg, I have to say, you are actually the one that has helped me realize that when you have this friend group for all these years, no matter how long, just because you've had them that long doesn't necessarily mean you need to be around them. Just
for sure.
Because of that reason. So again, thanks for putting that out in the world.
Yeah, you know, adult friendships are hard, and I plan, you know, we're going to talk about that another week, but definitely it's hard to navigate. But it's okay if certain friendships were just for a season, guys. Even if you thought they were a lifelong friend, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to need something else at a different time in your life, and for them to need something else. You will get brought what you need. It always works out that way. It's amazing. So thank you. Thanks, Rosie. That's super sweet. Gosh, friendships are so powerful and they impact us in so many ways. And so if that's an area where you feel like you're struggling with having some joy, maybe it's time this week to take a look at that and really see what differences you can make just in that sphere. But with any area, it's helpful to take a break, and reset, reflect a little bit, and then reset in that area. Whether it's your job, whether it's your home life, whether it's your friend group, whatever. Whether it's what you used to do for fun isn't fun anymore. You know, it really can be so many different things. So, I hate shutting these off, but I think we're at the end of our time today. Oh my goodness, this is so hard to do because literally, Rosie, I know we could do this all day.
Hours, but
hours and hours.
We could.
But I am so thankful that we had so many friends on with us this morning. And I do want to go ahead and leave you guys with a challenge today. I want to just ask you, what area of your life do you feel like you really need to intentionally choose joy this week? I want to know. Leave it in the comments, send me an email, do whatever you need to do. I want to know what that is. I want to help hold you accountable to this week and really helping you move forward in this area to start intentionally choosing joy. And maybe you're going to say, Meg, it's everything. I've just lost it. I've lost the joy. I need it. I crave it. Let's start there. Okay. We can start there. It's fine. It doesn't have to be just your job or whatever. We can start at your core. We just need to do something different to get you to where you need to be. I'm super excited to share with you that next Monday, while I have loved so much having Rosie with us, I wish you could be with me every week. So
every week. I know. Me
every
too.
week. Next Monday, it's going to be me flying solo. And we're going to be talking about morning routines. And I really hope that you will join me for that. If you in any way are struggling to stick to a morning routine, you will not want to miss next Monday with Meg. It's going to be so good, guys. So, as always, thank you, Rosie. I hope you all have a fabulous week. And let me know where you're at with choosing joy. I want to hear all about it. I love you so much. I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.